Good morning, everyone. I'm out here in the garden this morning, and I'm going to be talking today about my asparagus patch. And it's really bright out here this morning. I did a video out here yesterday, and it turned out really good. I was talking yesterday about my potato patch that I planted, and you can see them right up there. Actually, my potatoes, it's 200 foot long. This asparagus patch is actually two rows. There's a row here and then a row right over there. Asparagus patch, the rows are 100 foot long, and I'm going to walk down through here and I'm going to talk a little bit about asparagus. And you can see some of them here are already getting really tall, and I need to go ahead and probably start tying some of them up. They have a tendency to bend over and they'll break. So you really need to tie them up to keep them from doing that, because what happens is you need to let the tops grow, because that's what nourishes the root and helps the root get stronger for next year's crop. We have been eating asparagus here for several weeks, and I'm still going to pick some more asparagus. I'm still trying to get all the weeds out of it. As you can see, if you take a look here at these rows and those over there, I've got, and look down through the asparagus field there, I've got most of the weeds out of it. There's a few areas here, like right here, that I still need to get the weeds out. I need to get the weeds out over there. The problem with asparagus is, just like any garden crop, is keeping the weeds out of it, because the weeds suck up moisture and nutrients from the soil, and you really want all that moisture and nutrients to be going to the plant, not to the weeds. And that's one reason why many people do not have good gardens, because they don't work at them to keep the weeds out of the patch. Now I'm going to sit down here and talk a little bit about some asparagus plants. You see these big plants here, like this one. These are, there's actually, when you're talking about asparagus plants, there's male plants and there's female plants. The male plants have big spears. This right here is called a spear, asparagus spear. And what happens with asparagus, what you do is, when they're small, like this right here is probably about 1.5 feet high, you can break those off. You're not going to break it all the way off to the ground, but you don't want to do that, because the tender part is up in here. When you get down in here on the stem, it's really tough. So you break them off when they're just coming up out of the ground, like those over there. You can't break them all off, though, because if you do that, your plant won't have anything to nourish the root, and the root won't get big for the next coming year. Now, the male plants have big spears, but they don't have that many of them. These right here, these small spheres, are from female plants, or that's from a young plant. If you look down through here, it's probably a male plant right there. It's got some pretty good sized spheres on it. But if you look over in there, there's probably some female plants where you got all those small spheres. So what you need to do is when you plant them, you're going to get some, when you buy the crowns that you plant in the ground, and that's the way most people do it, is they buy what's called asparagus crowns, and they plant those in the ground. You can grow asparagus from seed also. Now if you plant a 1-year crown in the ground, it takes about 3 years to get a crop, start being able to harvest some asparagus spheres. Asparagus has a really unique taste, and I really love it. I don't like the asparagus that you buy in the stores, because it's really very tough. Asparagus needs a lot of calcium in the soil, and if you don't have a lot of calcium in the soil, then the spheres can be tough. Also, I'm sure that there's other nutrients that play a part in it also. Now this plant here, the reason why I'm over here and showing you this plant here is this is evidently a female plant. You can see all of these guys here, the spears on these things are the tops of the plants. That they're all fairly small, so that's probably a female plant there. People like to get male plants like these over here that have good big spheres on them. The problem is when you plant your asparagus crowns is you're going to get some female plants, and you're going to get some male plants. I'm walking down through the row here, and you can see here, over here for example, you got a big nice plant there. That's big nice asparagus sphere. You can see the size of that sphere relative to the size of my finger there. So that's a really big nice one, and some of these others down here are really nice too. These spheres here are kind of small. Could still be a male plant. And there's a plant in there that's got a lot of spheres to it. That might be a female plant. So your male plants are going to have bigger spheres on them, which people like. But the female plants have smaller spheres, or spears on them. They call these things spears. As you can see, they come up, shoot up out of the ground, and they look like a spear, and I reckon that's why they call them spears. Here's one that's really huge down here. This is a plant. It's got a single sphere on it. Huge. Also, one thing I wanted to talk about is the coloration on these spheres. You can see top of that one's like green, and down here, if you take a look at that one, top of it's like a purple. I've got several different types of asparagus planted in here. If you take a look at a seed catalog, you'll find that there's 3 or 4 different types of asparagus, and I've got several different types planted in here. When I originally planted these guys, I started these from wild asparagus. I'd go out alongside the roads and I would find asparagus growing, and I would dig up the crowns. That's the big root. And then I brought them out here in the garden and planted them. So I started this patch from wild asparagus crowns. And then from time to time, I have bought some asparagus roots or crowns, small asparagus crowns. You generally get them when they're pretty small, about a year old, and you dig them in and plant them. Now I've got another patch over here planted, and I want to get over there and show you those over there. I still got to get all the weeds out of them. I'm out here this morning in the garden. I need to get out here and do some weeding on these asparagus, get the rest of the weeds out of here, and then go through the ones that are already done, because the weeds are starting to, little bitty weeds. I'll get down here and you can actually take a look. See those little weeds in there that are actually popping back up? So if you let them go, within a few weeks they'll be on up there pretty high, and then the longer you let them go, the higher they're going to get, and they're going to suck all the nutrients and moisture out of the soil, and your asparagus, as a result of that, will be won't do so good. Over here is some that I started a few years ago, and I got some nice big plants in here. You can see down here I've got some nice big spheres on these down here. I got to get in here and get the weeds out of this. This is a small row here. One thing I've got this fence here put up. This is what they call a cow panel. You can buy these at Tractor Supply or any Farm Bureau store. And what I do is I use that to tie the plants up to keep them from blowing over in the wind and breaking. Like I say, you need to leave the tops on there so they won't blow over and break. If you notice up through there, I've got some fence posts, and what I do when the plants start getting high is I go down through there with baling twine and I tie those things up to keep them from blowing down, and keep the tops upright so that they take and will be able to soak up the sun, and the crowns will be able to grow and get bigger. So this year what I want to do is try to keep all the weeds out of these asparagus beds. In the past I've kind of let these things go. As the summer progresses, I get involved in other things and I kind of let these grow. One last thing I want to do here before I cut this thing off is I want to show you guys what I was talking about the coloration of the spheres. Take a look at these two guys here. You notice the green coloration, and then this right here is it's got kind of a purple top to it. So like I say, I got a couple different types of asparagus planted in here. But anyway, that's the video, and what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and stop this thing because I'm probably getting pretty close to my time limit. If you're watching this on Facebook, go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. It's Southwest SW Virginia Outdoors. Go over to my YouTube channel, take a look and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.